I just watched PewDiePie's video on forced positivity on YouTube, and I just wanted to comment on it and add my 2 cents to it, because I have something to say about some of the points in his video. I won't cover everything, I'll just pick the points where I have something to say about it, so go watch the full video if you want to know everything Felix said about these things.
I don't think being happy all the time is something desirable at all. Now, if you watch my older videos, I might seem a lot happier. I might seem a lot chipper, a lot more positive. And that's because I faked it. I thought that for people to want to watch my videos, I would have to be happy. I would have to force positivity. Something that I've learned now after a couple of years is that forced positivity is something that I really hate. Seeing these positive quotes, I hate them.
Well, first of all, I mostly agree with PewDiePie here. I would phrase some things differently and add some things that he didn't talk about, and I'll come to that in a moment. I think everybody knows what he's talking about, this overly optimistic and positive culture in the social media in general. But as a side note, I wonder if me and Felix actually have something in common in that we both come from Nordic countries, Finland and Sweden, where I don't think this overly positive culture is as prevalent as in the US, for example. I don't know, it could have nothing to do with it, but I just found it interesting that from the big YouTubers, PewDiePie, coming from Sweden, has very strong opinions on this.
But seeing YouTubers force positivity, it doesn't just bother me for their dishonesty. It bothers me because they're preying on people who are already weak to get views on YouTube. I don't like that. You might be fine with it, but I think it's stupid.
I don't know about that. There might be some YouTubers who intentionally do that, but I'm tempted to think that many YouTubers subconsciously act that way because of the strong positivity culture on social media.
A Harvard psychologist explains why forcing positive thinking won't make you happy. Hey, how about that?
Okay, now we're getting to the thing I really wanted to add to this conversation.
Okay, let me just read this one part. A lot of our cultural dialogue is fundamentally avoidant. So people will just say things like, just be positive and things will be fine. The last point I feel really strongly about, which is, and it's the same for this person, it made me really glad that I read this from someone else for the first time. Emotions like sadness, guilt, grief, and anger are beacons for our values. We don't get angry about stuff we don't care about. We don't feel sad or guilty about stuff we don't care about. If we push these emotions away, we are choosing not to learn about ourselves. We're choosing to ignore our values and what is important to us. And when we tell ourselves to think positive and push negative or difficult emotions aside, it won't work. It doesn't work. It's because it's fake.
Now this is the key thing here. Pushing negative emotions away. That's really bad, and I completely agree on that. It'll always cause more harm than good to not directly deal with the bad things, push them away and replace them with forced positivity. I agree on that. But I think what this Harvard guy calls telling yourself to think positive can actually be many things, depending on how you think about it. It can be really bad if you use it to force the negative things away without dealing with them, and then just try to pretend to be happy. But it can also be practicing seeing things positively while still honestly facing the negative things in your life. And I think that's good. If you honestly admit to yourself that you have challenges and difficulties in life and in being happy, then you can be completely aware of that and try to look for the positive sides in those challenges, and also remind yourself of all the good things in your life, the things that are well. And for me at least, that very often helps in putting things into perspective, and it also helps in dealing with the bad things. That's all I wanted to say about this, that trying to think positively can also be a good thing if you know what you're doing, essentially. Nice work from PewDiePie making people think about these things. It's really important. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Whoops, let's not end this just yet. I was already editing this video when I realized I might have sounded a little arrogant when I mentioned the Harvard psychologist. I certainly don't think I'm any wiser than any psychologist in the world. I haven't studied psychology more than a couple courses in high school, so here I'm mostly just spitballing and thinking out loud more than anything. I did read the whole article that PewDiePie was talking about, but I obviously didn't read the whole book that the psychologist had written about this topic. But since most people will only read the article or just watch the PewDiePie's video, I felt like it might be good for me to offer my 2 cents about the positive thinking part. So that's just something I wanted to clarify. And now we are ready to end. Thanks and goodbye.